The All-American Half Pounder, 2 pure beef patties, lettuce, tomato,
Singles going steady.
This is Singles Going Steady, the podcast dedicated to exploring great singles with a particular eye to the punk, new wave, and DIY eras of the last century. I'm Adrienne Madoc.
And I'm Steve McGowan. We have a band, the Beef People, from various places in North and South Carolina.
We're a mobile band. We largely travel.
We released a single in 1986 on our own label, Zub Records Limited Company, but we are, of course, record collectors, and we're passionate about the expression of pop music perfection that is the single recording. Exploring the mystery of what makes a great single is what propelled us to begin this podcast.
So what's the single today?
Today's single on Singles Going Steady 004 is both of our favorites, band and songs, Squeeze.
Oh, yes.
Yes, the British band Squeeze, and this is a kind of a special release thing. It's what is it called? Tiny
Collector's Edition.
It's a 5-inch single, so it's like a
That's so
miniature
cool.
single. And,
we'll have to put the picture up with
yes.
like a quarter or something.
Exactly. It's got 2 songs on it. The A side is If I Didn't Love You, and the B side is Another Nail in My Heart. Both of these songs are from the album Argy Bargy, which was released in 1980. And both of those songs were the A sides of singles.
And what the heck does Argy Bargy mean?
It means
It's like
a jumble,
or an argument, a confrontation.
a lot of palaver.
A set to.
Wow, we're becoming British even as we speak.
Oh, and I'm a great aficionado of the long-running soap opera, BBC soap opera EastEnders, and every once in a while you'll have like a little snippet of a Squeeze lexicon pop out, and I'm like, there it is, they're using it.
Isn't it true that Chris Difford from Squeeze was actually on the show?
Okay, in America we're not to there yet.
Okay, it's going to happen then.
Yeah, I'm waiting in anticipation to see it in 2040 or something.
Reasons to be cheerful, as they say, right? That's great. This is a great little collector's thing. A little teeny tiny single with 2 of the best songs, really, I mean, ever. We cannot underestimate our love for Squeeze. A band that kind of mixes up very Beatle-y type pop and a lot of Motown-y R&B.
Yeah, Squeeze was definitely my gateway to the wonderful world of modern music. Mm-hmm. Because of the hook of the Beatles.
Yes.
When we first took up with each other, you sent me a cassette of the album, which I probably still have somewhere, but it is well worn.
Yes, that's definitely true love there.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of plays for that, because it was just the greatest
best
thing
stuff
ever.
Yeah. I'm totally on your side on that. We're big Squeeze fans. Let's go ahead and start off and play a little bit of the A-side, Another Nail in My Heart, and Adrienne will tell you a little story about it when we're done.
Oh, wait, isn't it if I Didn't Love You?
You're right. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of the A-side, If I Didn't Love You.
It's a double A-side, really, so you can't go wrong.
That's right. It's like a triple A. We'll play a little bit of the A-side, If I Didn't Love You, and Adrienne's got a little story for you to tell you about it when it's done. Here we go. Squeeze, If I Didn't Love You, from the Tiny Collector's 5-inch single.
Watching you play in the bar.
Okay, so my story about that single is apocryphal, but I think it actually is factual. My memory is that there was a great discussion about why didn't Squeeze make it, and this is sort of what I'm calling the interregnum between sort of like the ending with East Side Story and but they did have some success.
Yeah, they put some other records out.
But
it was just never the same.
Right. Sort of between early 80s Squeeze and late 80s Squeeze, there was a think piece I saw and said, why didn't they really catch fire? And they said, when you have a great song like If I Didn't Love You, why was that not blasting from every radio in the country, in the United States? And the supposition was it sounded like the record was skipping and that DJs were resistant to play it because they thought they would get calls complaining your record's skipping, or that they would think, oh my gosh, the record's skipping. And so I don't know if that's just the saying you'll never go broke, underestimating the intelligence of the American people, but I think that may be attributable to why Squeeze didn't have the success out of the gate with this fantastic, lovable recording.
Yeah, the song does have a weird hook, and if you think about it, it kind of sounds like it's skipping, but it's not. And I think there were a number of things that piled against the band that unfortunately kept them from being as famous as we think they should have been, for sure. This is a band with the two primary songwriters. Chris Difford is the lyric writer. He just writes the lyrics. And Glenn Tilbrook is the singer and the guitar player. Chris plays the guitar as well, but Chris does the lyrics and Glenn does all the music. And so it's a very interesting partnership.
So one of the things about the lyrics that absolutely we had to get it on this podcast was the fantastic lyric line, singles remind me of kisses, albums remind me of plans, because that sums up so much about how people that appreciate and love records feel.
It's just genius.
And perfect for us. Yeah. Well, and that's detailed in one of the things that we'll be talking about later in our
talk about Chris's
persons,
book.
Places, and things. Yeah, recommendation.
But I don't think they particularly get along that well. The two of them, as most famous songwriting partners, often don't. But what a wonderful single. And the B-side, or the other A-side of this little 5-inch single by Squeeze, is the magnificent song Another Nail in My Heart. And we are going to listen to it now. Here we go. Squeeze with Another Nail in My Heart.
The case is pulled from under the bed. She made a call to a sympathetic friend and made arrangements. The door was closed, there was a note. I couldn't be bothered, maybe I'll chuck no more engagements. With where have you been, from far away from, trying to be goodbye, not being round. And here in the bar, the piano man's found another nail from the heart. And here in the bar, the piano man's found another nail from the heart. another nail from my heart. And here in the fall, the piano has found another nail from my heart. And here in the fall, the piano has found another nail from my heart. And here in the fall, the piano has found another nail from my heart.
So that was another nail in my heart, and there is a tacky little video for this song. You can dial up.
The early 80s.
Yes, it's got that filmed British look, like the Monty Python skits, all grainy film.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Like everything produced before, the late 90s. Anything outside was grainy, and anything
Yes.
inside was like the super
Video.
cheapest video ever.
And this one is filmed, and of course it takes place in a pub. Squeeze, well-known drinking buddies, and it's got poor Jules Holland, the keyboard player, pushing around a upright piano till the very end. It's a great song. As we've said, we love the record. We love Squeeze. We want to talk about seeing them live. They were always a fantastic band. I think I was the first one of the two of us to see them. When I was still living in Massachusetts, in high school, I took the train into Boston to see them at the Orpheum Theater. It was on the Cool for Cats tour, the second record.
Remind me to tell my taking the train into Boston joke sometime.
Not today, please.
No, not any day.
And it was at the Orpheum Theater, and Squeeze was opening for an act that was very hot at the time, The Tubes. Yes. This is before The Tubes had the 1 in a Million song. They were still kind of a performance art band. They did stuff like White Punks on Dope and Mondo Bondage, and they had the motorcycle on the stage and all the costumes.
That sort of thing like a high school boy would just
Exactly.
be
Yeah, I was
drawn to.
crazy. But Squeeze was just fantastic, and I remember them just coming out and bashing it out. And
Did you say what album that was
Cool
supporting?
for Cats.
Oh, wow. Oh, that in EastEnders, which has the endless references to Squeeze, one of the haircutting salons was Cool for Cuts. So I was like, I get that.
I see it. And I remember clearly when they were doing Slap and Tickle, they wheeled out the Moog synthesizer on a little rolling stand, so Glenn could play it, and so they had the keyboard player, and Glenn was playing the Moog, and it was just a great show. And from the get go there, I already had the record, I loved it, and just to see them was really good. And then,
Well, my first Squeeze introduction live was opening on the English Mugs tour for Costello. I thought that I must have been, somehow had the musical gods smiling upon me, because my first semester tickets went on sale on my campus for that tour, and I was like, it's my two favorites. How did they know?
I know.
Well, they knew to bring them, but then they put them in Carmichael Auditorium, which at the time was where the North Carolina Tar Heels played basketball. So you might as well,
it was a gym, right?
It was a gym, and it was an echo chamber, but it was heaven. So they were great, and the sound was not stellar, but it was, I knew everything. So it was incidental to actually hear it.
Yeah, I also saw them on that tour at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, and that was just my head floated around the room. It was so good. And didn't you see them in Cincinnati?
I did. I was visiting with my aunt in Cincinnati and just happened to look at the paper. Oh, they're playing tonight at Bogart's. And bless her heart, she was so awesome. She took me, I think it was $6.
Wow.
And deposited me in like 18 years old in front of some club. And that was back before the national 21 drinking age. So I could get in. So I go by myself into this club. and weasel my way up to the front of the stage, and it was awesome. It was just what a great show. Everything that I couldn't hear in the echo chamber of the gym, I heard there, and they came forward at the end of the show, after the end of the encores, and were shaking hands. I got to shake Gilson's hand, and I was like, I saw you in Chapel Hill, you're awesome. And he was like, yeah, giving me the, back to see you later, young thing.
Be back to pick you up later.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a Mr. Microphone, except it wasn't a microphone.
Yeah. And then there was the famous time that you and I went to see them at the Agora.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That was Concertus Interruptus.
My fake ID didn't work that night. All the times I got into the Agora with my JMac ID, I wasn't 18 yet, and the bouncer wouldn't let me in.
Very sad. Very, very sad.
So we missed Squeeze that night. Even though I insisted Adrian go in, she stood by her man.
Oh, I was a good kid. What can I say? Those days are done.
So Squeeze, just about the best thing ever.
And we saw them again on this last tour when they came through. I saw them here in Durham.
Mm-hmm. And I saw them in Atlanta. They have a new band, of course, but it's still Chris Difford and Glenn Tilbrook, and they brought it.
Yeah. And great voice.
Yes, played great. And, it was just an amazing show. And you always leave thinking, they've written so many good songs, and I know we will talk about some more Squeeze singles on this podcast.
And the current songs, I mean, new record. There's no drop off. It's not. There's not the. It's not an oldies act.
No, they are not just doing the hits, although they have plenty of what we would call hits that were maybe not hits on the chart. We love Squeeze. We love this record. This is a good thing. You should get Argy Bargy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And all the early records, really. Now, do we have some recommendations today?
We do have some recommendations. Oh. Mine is a thing this time.
What is that thing?
Well, that thing is Legion. Well, okay, that thing is always Legion. But besides Legion, it is when you're in a movie theater, you should purchase popcorn and a candy like M&M's, although Reese's works also. What you do is you open the container of the, I was going to call it pelleted candy, whatever you call it.
Pelleted candy.
Pelleted candy.
Wow.
I don't think it would work with Skittles. I don't think it would taste as good. And you empty that into the popcorn, and then if you work it right after shaking it, you get a little bit of popcorn, a little bit of M&M, or a little bit of Reese's. I've never tried both at the same time.
Wow.
But that's just spectacular. So I can't recommend that highly enough.
Now, we were at the movies last night, and we didn't do that.
Yeah, somebody wouldn't get the candy.
I didn't see the light, so we'll have to try that next time. My recommendation, being the rock book guy, is the Chris Difford from Squeeze book. It is called Some Fantastic Place, My Life in and Out of Squeeze. Chris has a very interesting story to tell. He's an extremely good writer, as you might imagine, from the lyrics he's written. It's a very well-written book. He has a lot of issues with addictions and recovery, and he kind of glosses over those, but that's okay. It's still a great read, and there's some great stories about him meeting Elton John and Brian Ferry, and just playing in the band.
It's sort of like he left music as a performer for the most part, and was a manager for Brian Ferry, of all people.
A personal manager.
A personal manager, and sometimes almost a personal stoolie.
Yes.
I mean, where he was, he joked like, "What am I, your chauffeur?" And I don't want to spoil the story, but there's a great story about that.
Yes, there's a couple of great stories that are like that, and it's a great book. If you get a chance, you should pick it up. We've both read it, right?
Yes.
Yep. And
I'd have liked to have seen more discussion of the early days, but I think that the last half of the book with the discussion of addiction explains why there were very few memories shared in the first half, because I think there are very few memories of the first half.
But
there were plenty. There were some.
Yes. Yes, it's a good book. It's definitely not your typical rock book. It doesn't go into the excesses too much, and it gives you a little bit of the frame of mind of a really, really great lyric writer. Well, I think that's going to be it for our podcast today, number 004.
Popcorn and M&Ms.
Squeeze. If I Didn't Love You, Another Nail in My Heart. And we hope we will see you again very shortly for our next Singles Going Steady. I'm Steve.
I'm Adrian.
And thank you for listening. To learn more about the artists and recordings we just talked about, visit our website at zubrecords.com and click on the Singles Going Steady icon.
You'll also find links to the persons, places, and things we recommend, and much more.
You can find episodes of Singles Going Steady on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Singles Going Steady is brought to you by the power and majesty of Zub Records. Zub Records. Smart sounds for sharp people.